This information is designed to provide accurate and authoritative information with regard to the subject matter covered. It is offered with the understanding that the presenters are not engaged in rendering legal, accounting, or other professional services. If legal advice or other expert advice is required, the services of a competent professional should be sought.
Well, good evening and welcome everyone. This is James Orr, and tonight we're going to be going over the presentation on how to find deals on Craigslist. This is part one of a three-part series. The part one is on posting ads in order to find motivated sellers on Craigslist, and we're going to have a lot of fun going over that tonight. I've got a lot to share with you. There's some really interesting things about Craigslist. I've actually used Craigslist quite extensively. I ran the largest national wholesaling company in the United States, and we actually were wholesaling in 300 U.S. markets, and one of our primary means of marketing, besides email marketing to our existing clients, was Craigslist. We would actually take properties and do a full 4-page analysis on each property, and then we would market that analysis in each of 300 cities. The properties for that city, only in that city. We weren't marketing properties in one city in multiple cities, but we were taking, if there's a property in Atlanta, we would market that property in Atlanta on the Atlanta Craigslist system. And so I've got quite a bit of experience doing Craigslist ads and marketing real estate online. This particular video is going to be on posting up ads in order to get motivated sellers calling you. I didn't do a lot of that with our existing business model, but I've done that in my own business. And so we're going to be covering how to do that tonight. I'm going to give you an overview of some of the different Craigslist basics and then some more advanced strategies for getting those ads up and getting clients and getting deals from finding ads on Craigslist in order to find motivated sellers. So let's jump right into the presentation. So this is how to find deals on Craigslist, part one of the three-part series. Part one is on posting ads. That's going to be for today is the recording. Tomorrow is the actual Northern Colorado Real Estate Investor Group meeting where I'll be presenting a version of this live. But this is the recording before the event so that we have it on video, we have it all done, and if anyone misses the meeting, they can actually watch this on the website. Part two is going to be on replying to for sale by owner ads, and that will be August 14th. That's the second Tuesday of August, I believe, and that's when you'll learn about how to reply to for sale by owner ads on Craigslist in order to find deals. Part three, replying to for rent ads on Craigslist. Those are usually deals where you're looking to do lease option, lease purchase, subject to. More creative types of transactions where the seller is willing to accept monthly payments because by having an ad in the for rent, they've already told you that they're looking for some type of monthly income from the property. Maybe it's because they didn't think that it could sell and they're looking to rent it. But if you come to them and approach them and say, look, I've realized that your property, that you have it for rent, but if I'm an ideal tenant and I pay you on time, would you consider selling me the property? And then you discuss with them the idea of you renting it out to someone else and kind of being the kind of middle person in that transaction. So we'll be covering that particular one. That's part three on September 11th, 2012, which should be the second Tuesday of September. So tonight we're only focusing on posting ads in order to find motivated sellers, and then we'll be covering those other two parts in a future video. This particular presentation is presented in two formats. It is an audio-only version, so the majority of what I'm doing on here, I'm going to try to be as verbal as I can. I've got my verbosity turned on so that we are not necessarily showing you a picture on the screen and say, okay, look at the slide, that's exactly what you need to do. I'll be talking you through most of it because some people actually prefer to listen to these in their car or on a hike or something like that, and so we want to do an audio-only version. So what I do is I record the whole thing with PowerPoint slides, and then when I'm done, I rip the audio out and I make an MP3 version that people can use to download and burn to a CD or listen to on their iPhone or iPod or iPad or whatever it is you want to listen to it on. your favorite MP3 player, and then you'll be able to go listen to just the audio. So there'll be both a video version with PowerPoint slides and an audio version. Take your pick. They should be identical. There may be some occasionally times when you might see something on the screen that would be helpful if you've seen it, but 99% of the time, the audio version is going to get you where you need to be. So you choose whichever one works best for you, but I'm going to be providing these in both formats. All right, so the objectives for this particular video is going to be learn the Craigslist basics. We're going to talk about how to create an account, how to log into your account, how to post ads, how to, what is ghosting, what's flagging, things like that. All the basics you need to know in order to post ads on Craigslist and be successful with it. Then we're going to show you how to post real estate investor ads on Craigslist in order to find deals. And I may give you some very slight examples of types of ads to run. I will not be giving you my actual ads, and there's a very good reason why. I have a whole slide on why I don't give you my exact ads. It has to do with flagging and duplicate content penalties on Craigslist. If everyone was running the same ad, no one will be able to get their ads up. So we're basically going to show you how to create an ads. I'll give you some proven headlines. I'll show you how to create ad copy. I'll show you different types of ads to run, but I can't just say, here, run this ad every time and this will get you a certain type of response. I'm going to be dealing with how to test ads to get and improve your response rates, and we'll be talking about that as well as part of the video tonight. All right, so let's jump right into the Craigslist basics. I took a bunch of these slides from another presentation I did to a bunch of internet marketers on how to use Craigslist in order to earn a six-figure income, because that's one of the things we were doing with the national business we were running, as we were largely using Craigslist in order to generate a pretty significant six-figure revenue stream using primarily Craigslist to drive the business. So Craigslist basics. These slides all came from that particular presentation for the basics part of it. The real estate investor stuff, the second half of this presentation, is primarily created new for this particular presentation. I've never done a presentation on how to post ads on Craigslist for real estate investors, so this was a new presentation for me. So Craigslist is basically a classified ad website. They call them posts when you go and you post an ad on Craigslist. So you can go ahead and post your ad up there. Craigslist throughout the country has largely replaced newspaper classified ads. It used to be whenever you wanted to go buy a house, if you go read books from 1970s, 1980s, even into the 90s, and he talked about how do you advertise in order to find motivated sellers, and everyone was newspapers, newspapers, newspapers. Some people were talking about direct mail, some people were talking about doing a little door-to-door marketing, but primarily, and networking, by the way, but primarily it was newspapers. Nowadays, primarily newspapers have been replaced by free online classified advertising on sites like Craigslist. And Craigslist is by far the biggest one. I'm going to show you a slide here in a little bit showing you the other two big ones, but Craigslist is by far the biggest one and the most productive one. So if you're only going to do one, you might just focus on Craigslist. If you're going to do the other ones and just kind of have your ads up there, you can put those up too, because you never know which one of your sellers is going to go to one of the three sites, or one of any number of sites, and it could be a pretty big transaction for you, because most deals, you're earning $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 if you're wholesaling, maybe a little bit less than that. So really is a good way for you to get your name out there and find motivated sellers. Most sections on Craigslist are free to post in, and they're also free to view. There are a small number of paid categories on Craigslist. For example, in the New York City market, I believe that they're charging people in order to do jobs. They may even be charging in certain real estate sections across the country in order to post ads there. But the overwhelming majority of Craigslist, and most of the stuff you're going to be doing, especially if you're here local in the Fort Collins, Northern Colorado market, is free. And that may change at any time. Craigslist has their own policies and procedures, and I don't control those. But as of this recording, they are free to post on Craigslist, and I would suspect that it will continue for a while, but who knows. All right, so I told you before that Craigslist is the biggest of the three major classified ad type websites that are available on the internet. There's lots and lots of small ones. These are by far the three largest ones that I'm aware of. The top one is Craigslist, the second biggest one is Backpage.com, and the third biggest one is eBayClassifieds.com, which was Kijiji at one point. And I would suspect the reason they changed it to eBay Classifieds is who knows what Kijiji is or how to spell it or anything like that, and so it's very difficult to do. But eBay Classifieds is a new name of Kijiji. Kijiji used to be the third one. So if you look at the graphic on the left-hand side here of this particular slide, and for those of you that are listening to the audio, I will just tell you that Craigslist is by far the top most traffic by daily traffic rank from Alexa. Alexa is a service that actually provides tracking information, traffic information from websites. And Alexa says that Craigslist is by far way and above Backpage and eBay Classifieds. And for those of you that are looking really closely, this is a logarithmic scale. So Craigslist is in the top, whatever that is, 10% or maybe even 20% or now, maybe even 25% of the market, depending on which side you're looking at. On the left-hand side, they're almost top 10%. On the right-hand side, they're looking like they're top 25% of the most popular traffic-based websites in the world. And so you could see that it's extremely popular. However, Backpage is, pushing, what is that over there? Pushing maybe 800. So it's the 800th most popular traffic ranking website. And then eBay Classifieds is well down into the, I don't know what that looks like, maybe the 1300-ish range. So quite a big difference between Craigslist, Backpage, and eBay Classifieds. The only thing you really need to take from this slide is if you're only going to do one, Craigslist. If you're going to do two, Craigslist and Backpage. If you're going to do all three, it's Craigslist, Backpage, and eBay Classifieds. And on days when you're really busy, you pass on Backpage and eBay Classifieds. Here's a different chart showing basically the same information. This is by daily page views. And you could see that Craigslist just destroys Backpage and eBay Classifieds as far as traffic goes. eBay Classified almost looks like a flat line at the very bottom of the graph. Backpage is slightly above that, maybe what is that, half an inch or so. And then, of course, the Craigslist is probably 3 or 4 inches above where Backpage is on this chart. So Craigslist is a huge amount ahead as far as daily page views. And while this doesn't tell you specifically if it's for real estate, I could tell you that it is in general the same. So Craigslist is actually got more traffic than Backpage, got more traffic than eBay Classifieds, and that's probably true in their real estate categories as well. But this is traffic to overall Craigslist, overall Backpage, and overall eBay Classifieds. All right, so let's talk about how to get started and jump right into what you need to do on Craigslist itself. So if you go to the CraigsList.com homepage, just go to CraigsList.com. It's Craig, CraigsList.com. Go right there, and on the left-hand side, I've got an arrow pointed if you're watching the video. On the left-hand side, beneath the Craigslist name and posted classifieds, a link that says My Account. Click on My Account. That will take you to a page where you can then go register for an account that looks like this. So if you're looking at the video, you can see a page I'm showing you where you can go and register for an account. It has the ability for you to enter your email address or your handle and your password and then log in to the site, or click on the link right below where you log in to sign up for a new account. I've got a big arrow pointing on it if you're watching the video. If you're not, just look for the link that says sign up for an account on the page where it says register for a new account. Once you click on that link, you'll be taken to a page where it asks you for your email address, and then it gives you kind of a CAPTCHA, which prevents automated registration of accounts on Craigslist. With this page, you need to enter in 2 words that are kind of typed and squiggly and kind of hard to read, and so they're doing that to make sure that you're a human and not a computer. So go ahead and enter your email address, enter in this verification word, and then go ahead and create an account, and then it's going to send you a confirmation email. So what it'll do is usually send you an email and says, okay, confirm that you have access to this email account, and then it will also ask you to phone verify your account. This is really important. So over the years, Craigslist has been trying to keep people that are spamming or putting lots of commercial posts up, selling Viagra and even more kind of benign things up there on their website, trying to keep a lot of the riffraff out. And one of the ways that they're doing that is by making sure that you have a telephone number that is associated with your account. That way you can't go and create 100 accounts and just use them to spam all over Craigslist and kind of get your content up there in lots of different cities. So the new system is that they ask you to verify a telephone number and register it with your account, and that ties your account to that telephone number. So they may send you an email, they may pop up a message on the screen. It's been so long since I did the registration. I didn't do the registration again to make this video, but I'm pretty sure that they now require that you use a telephone number, and they'll say enter in your telephone number, and we'll either text you a message with a certain code, or we'll call you on that telephone number and speak the code to you, and then just enter the code in on the screen. Once you go and do that, you then assign that particular telephone number to that account, and it allows you to register and use the Craigslist account that you're making. There are some people out there trying to sell verified Craigslist accounts, don't waste your money, because occasionally from time to time Craigslist will ask you to re-verify your telephone number, and if you bought an account, you might as well not have bought the account, because you're still not going to have the telephone number that they used in order to register. You're going to end up using a new telephone number or your own telephone number anyway. So I do not recommend you buy Craigslist accounts. Recommend you create a single account and use it for your own, and that's primarily going to be the focus of this particular presentation, is how to use your own single Craigslist account in order to do that. So when you have an account, though, it allows you to keep track of your posts, allows you to edit them, to delete them, to repost them, and to see which ones have stayed up, which ones have been flagged and removed, which ones have expired, which ones have you've removed yourself. So we're going to take a look at what the account looks like here, I think, on this next slide. All right, so on this next slide, it shows you a picture of the internals of my particular account. This one's a little bit dated. It looks like it's from last year when I did the presentation to the Internet Marketing Group. So you can see on there some of the different ads I'm running. You can see the active ads that I had running at the time. You can kind of get a feel for what it will look like when you have your own particular ads on there. But you can see that there's options to edit the ads. There's options to delete the ads. On many of them, there's an option to renew. The link to renew will not show up until it's eligible to be renewed. And a renewing means to top post. I'm going to talk to you specifically about what that is, but you can go ahead and renew it and then go ahead and put it back to the top of the page where it was, but you can't do that but once every 3 days. So an ad needs to be 3 days old before you can put it back to the top of the list. So you can go ahead and see all those different options. It shows you the title of the post, it shows you what section it was posted in, the posted date, the ID of it. The ID is actually pretty important when we're going to be tracking on Google Analytics. I'm going to show you a slide about that later, but that's what you're going to be searching for as you're referring ID number when you look at the ads on Craigslist section of Google Analytics. So you'll use that ID later. Okay, so that's what an account looks like. Once you go and create your account, you'll be able to go and do that, but pretty much that's what it looks like. All right, so the accounts are color-coded, or the posts in the accounts are color-coded based on what they're doing. So I pulled up an older page on my site to show you some of the different ones that are on there. Green means that it's active. And if you're looking at the screen here, it's not shown, so I don't have any green ones on the particular screen right now. But all the green ones would be active, meaning that they're live, they're showing up on the website, or, I'm going to talk about this a little later, they have been ghosted. And I'll talk about what that means later, but if they show up as active on the site, that means that they're either active and actually showing up, or Craigslist is telling you that they're active, but really what they did is they ghosted your ad. And I'll tell you exactly what that means on another slide, so don't worry about it, but I just want to point out that green means it's either active or ghosted. Blue means it's been deleted by you, which means you can repost it at any time as long as it has been 3 days since you originally posted it. And there's a link right next to it that says repost. Orange means that it was flagged, meaning someone else came and said this ad was inappropriate, or you posted it too many times, or something else, and enough people came by that Craigslist said, wait a minute, our user community has said that this ad is not appropriate and that it should be removed, and so we're going to go ahead and remove that. We're going to flag it and remove it, take it down. You can't do anything with the ones that are flagged, and that's actually going to cause us some issues later, which I'm going to tell you some solutions for, so we'll talk about that in a future slide. And finally, the purple ones are the ones that have expired naturally. If you leave an ad up for 30 days or so, it will automatically come down naturally, and those ones you can repost. I think the time frame for the purple ones, I don't know this for sure, but I believe that they either stay up for 30 days or they will stay up if there's a event with a date associated with it. Like if you're going ahead and promoting the Northern Colorado Real Estate Investor Group meetings, and you say that the meeting is on Tuesday, the 10th of July, well then on the 11th of July that ad will automatically expire and roll off. And so the purple ones expired naturally. You can repost the purple ones because they've just expired. They weren't flagged by someone else. So that is basically the color coding of your ads in Craigslist. All right, so when you go and you post an ad, and you can do that right from your account, you click on post an ad, and you go in there and you fill out the form, and you put the headline in there, you're going to put the body in there. But when you post, what happens is your ad then takes a little bit of time in order to show up on the results page. So once you post an ad, and you happen to post an ad in real estate services, which is probably where you're going to be posting the ads in order to find motivated sellers, you're not going to be posting it in real estate for sale. I'm going to say that again. You're probably not going to be posting that you're looking for sellers in the real estate for sale section. Why? Because you're not selling a house. If you put up an ad in there that says, we'll buy your house, we'll pay you cash, yeah, you may get a lot of traffic to it, but you're going to get people that are flagging it and removing it and bad-mouthing your company. A very common thing that people will do, if you continue to abuse the system, they will literally start making posts on Craigslist saying, never do business with ABC company. They're abusing the system and posting things, and it can really leave a bad reputation for somebody that might otherwise contact you to sell you their house. Now they've read another post and they say, beware, stay away from these guys. I would avoid them. And somebody who is being malicious or kind of taking advantage of the fact that you're posting in the wrong category and not really learning that you shouldn't be posting in that category might do something like that in order to kind of make a stink and avoid you getting business. So be careful. Do not post in apartments and housing for rent, or apartments or real estate for sale by broker or by owner, if you really are not doing what that category is designed for. So unless you have a property for sale, or you've got a property for rent or something like that, I would not do that. Now, as an aside, and I actually didn't make a slide about this, but it's kind of a good point. I just thought of it. If you are marketing a particular property for sale, let's say you happen to have a property you own and you're doing for sale by owner, and you're marketing, or your agent is marketing it, and you want to put a little ad at the bottom that says, this property is for sale. If you're interested in selling your home, contact us. I think you can get away with that. I think if you had an ad up there that was marketing a property for sale in the legitimate category of properties for sale, and you had a little spot in there that says, having a hard time selling your home, contact us about buying your home, and then the ad is primarily about marketing the property for sale, but you have that little side note, I think you could do those. And that would be fine. That most people would not flag those. You may have some people flagging them, but I think most people would not. So as I was saying, you post the ad, it takes about 15 minutes. There's actually a delay. So when you post the ad, you're not going to be able to go to the category and immediately see it. There is a 15-minute or so delay by Craigslist itself. So once you post your ad, you're not going to be able to go there and refresh the page and see your ad show up. It will show up in your account, but it will not show up on the results page, the page that shows the other ads. Your post will usually take about 15 minutes, and then it will appear at the top of the page, or very close to the top. If there's like 3 people that all posted in that same 15-minute period, you may be number 1, 2, or 3, or however many other people were posting at the same time, but you'll be toward the top of the page, and the top posts, it's where you want to be, because those tend to get the most traffic. As other people continue to post, then your actual ad will slide down the page. If you happen to be watching the screen right now, I'm showing you a visualization of the arrow pointing to the ad, and how when another person posts, then your ad goes to the number 2 position. And I'm showing an arrow right now pointing to the number 2 position. If you're still watching the video, I've now gone to the 3rd position. So when 2 other people have posted, you're now in the 3rd position on the particular ad there. And you can see as more people post, they keep moving down the page. So that's what I actually said on this slide. I'm showing you now in the 4th position. And as an aside, for those of you who are looking at the screen, I just took a static screenshot, and I'm just showing you where the arrow would be, showing where your ad would be. I'm not actually showing you it moving down. I didn't stay here and take 25 different screenshots every time someone posted a different ad. So I'm basically showing you where your thing would be as another person posts. So as people post, and the more people that post, the faster you're going to move down the page. But it also tends to mean that the more people that are looking at it, although it's not always true, but tends to be. When you have a lot of people posting in a particular category, it tends to mean that it's a pretty popular category and that people will be looking there pretty often. So like the real estate for sale section tends to move pretty quickly, especially in bigger cities like Denver. Not so much in Fort Collins. I mean, it does move pretty quickly, but not nearly as fast as Denver or something like that, where they have maybe 100 properties being posted a day. So the more people that post, the more that moves down, and the more people that are posting, probably the more popular the category. The real estate services section, by the way, is really not the most popular category. It is not something where you have the most people looking at it, but it is what you are offering. You are offering a real estate service. You're not selling a house. You're not renting a house, unless you are, and then you should post in there. But if you're actually looking for motivated sellers, you want to be posting in the real estate services section, because that's the most appropriate thing you have in there. The only other one that's probably appropriate is the financial services section. We'll talk about that when we talk about ad types to run. So if people come to Craigslist and they browse a category, they're much more likely to look at the top few postings that look interesting and then not dig through all the ones that have gone down through the bottom. So ideally, you want to continue to post over time, not like right away, but over time, you want to continue to post so that your ad remains toward the top of the list. And when you're in a category like real estate services, it's not that hard to stay in the top page, the top 5, 10, 15, 20 different postings by following the guidelines that Craigslist sets, which is usually posting not the same ad more often than once every 3 days. You can post different ads, and we're going to talk about that as a strategy, but you're not supposed to post the same ad more than once every 3 days. So, which leads to people wanting to move. So, as new people come on, they want to post. They tend to want to move their ad up. So, people will want to remove their ad from their account and then go ahead and repost the ad so that they can get back on the top. This concept of removing your ad and then reposting it is called top posting. And it's just part of the system, but Craigslist doesn't like it unless you've waited the 3 days. They don't mind if you wait the 3 days, but they don't want you just go ahead and doing it every hour and click on a link and remove and put it back up there. They want to give people a chance to kind of see all the ads, and they don't want it to be lots of duplicates. So what they do is they allow you to repost every 3 days from your account. So when you log into your account, if your ad is more than 3 days old, a link to repost that ad will then appear, and you can click on that and it'll actually go ahead and top post for you. So it just renews the ad and puts it right back to the top. Okay, so you can do that right from your account, but you don't want to go ahead and try to game the system and delete your ad and try to get back on there. They're pretty aware of how to do that, and they kind of take some steps to prevent it. So Craigslist does not necessarily like you top posting. Go look at the terms of use. You can actually post only once every 3 days with the same ad. Some categories move slow because few people are posting there, but you'll still be near the top even 3 days later in some of those categories. Like the real estate services section, you'll still be pretty close to the top, at least right now in Fort Collins, Loveland area, if you go ahead and post and you just repost every 3 days. Other categories, as I mentioned, are so popular that many people are posting in a matter of hours, and your post has been pushed down so that it eventually rolls off the page. When people click on the post title in your ad, then they go and they read your entire ad. When they return back to the page, after they've looked at your ad, they can go and click on other ads at that point. But the ads themselves are not interlinked. So you can't go look at one person's ad and then click next and view the next one, click next and view the next one. I'll talk about some strategies for overcoming that limitation when we talk about responding to ads, because going and manually clicking on all these ads is a real pain in the butt. But we can talk about some different tools you can use in order to be able to do that in part 2 and part 3 of this series. And then eventually your posting gets to the bottom of the first page when the next person posts an ad to this particular category. Then your post rolls off the first page and goes on to the second page. The second page typically gets less traffic than the first page, so ideally you want to be on the first page, and ideally you want to be at the top of the first page, unless people are searching for a term that is in your post, and then you're not likely to get many inquiries once your ad is kind of beyond that first page. So ideally you want to be on that first page, but it's eventually going to roll off, and traffic to your post should go down over time in general when that has happened. All right, so let's talk about flagging. This is an example of an ad that I ran, and the link in order to show you how to flag an ad is located in the upper right-hand corner. So there's a little box that says, please flag with care. You can flag it as miscategorized, prohibited, spam, or an overpost, or for nomination in the best of Craigslist. So the top 3 will actually count toward removing your ad. So what is flagging? Flagging is done by other people when you post something that's inappropriate. It could be something inappropriate by you posting in the wrong category. For example, you saying, we buy houses in the houses for sale section, that is a inappropriate post. It is posted in the wrong category, and that people will be flagging that ad and removing it. You don't want to have your ads flagged because it affects your account. And your account, if it gets enough flagged ads, it's going to be really hard for you to get posts to actually go up and stay up. They'll be ghosted in the future. It is socially unacceptable to post certain things, and people will flag it for that. So if you post the same ad 5 times in a row, well, people are going to flag it as spam or overpost. If you're actually posting something that's not allowed, like you're posting something for Viagra in the real estate section, then they'll probably put prohibited on there, and you're actually going to get in trouble. Okay, meaning that your ad will be flagged and removed, and your account will be marked, and a certain number of flaggings on your account is likely to mean that your account will be harder to get ads up in the future. Okay, the most common thing that people flag for is either miscategorized or spam or overpost. So when you go ahead and put those in there, make sure you're putting your ads in the right category and that you're following the rules. Okay, you don't want to have your ads flagged if at all possible, but sometimes they do happen. Sometimes, especially if you have a bunch of other people getting together and kind of teaming up on you and trying to prevent you from doing business, you could have 4 or 5 people go and all click on your ad that it's spam and overpost and remove your ads. Yeah, it does happen. Usually not one person flagging an ad will remove it. You need to have several people flag it in order to do that. However, my theory, and by the way, Craigslist doesn't tell you exactly what their rules are. They never do. But my theory about it is, if you've got an account that's been known to be flagged a lot, like you posted up a ton of ads and a lot of other people have flagged them, they may lower the criteria to have future ads you run flagged in the future. So, for example, if you ran 3 ads and 5 different people all marked them as flag removed because they were in the wrong category or you did something that was not acceptable to Craigslist, and then you posted a new ad, it may only take one person clicking on "this is spam" for it to say, wait a minute, this whole account has been flagged and removed a lot. We're only going to need one person flagging all future ones in order to remove him. So you can see that Craigslist does things to try to keep the value of their site up. Tries to help users kind of self-regulate and kind of self-police their particular system. And so flagging is a big deal, and you want to watch out for them. So flagging can also be flagged by your competition. I just talked to you about that. It does not usually happen. It usually takes more than one person to flag, and that's usually a case. Of course, I think that there are exceptions to that, but basically you can get some ideas on how that works right here. All right, when an ad is flagged, you cannot get access to your ad anymore. You cannot see it. There's no way you can go in there and copy and paste what you wrote. So it's really important that you keep a copy of the post you're creating somewhere else other than in your Craigslist account. And I'm going to recommend you use Evernote. And I have a slide later on that tells about making sure you have a copy of all your ads and you track the results for your ads so that you can do all that. And I recommend Evernote. It's pretty easy to do. You can just clip the ad right from the web browser to Evernote, keep it in a certain notebook on there, and you can clip your Google Analytics page showing the traffic to that particular ad, and that way you'll always have them. So whenever you put up a new ad, I recommend that you save a copy. If your ad is sort of flagged, you want to be able to use that same ad or modify it so that you can do it again in the future. But you need to be able to save them once it happens. So once it's flagged, you cannot renew it, you cannot repost it from your account, and you're not going to be able to go and access what it used to say. It'll just say this ad has been flagged and removed, and it'll give you the ID number of the ad. Okay, so you don't want to go and not have a copy of the ads you're testing, at least somewhere else when you're doing it. So how do you know that you've been flagged? Well, your post will no longer appear in the results page. So if you go to the results page and you know that your ad was up because you checked it earlier, but it's no longer there, well, that's one way to know that you were flagged. If you log into your account, you'll also notice that it is marked as flagged and removed. It'll be orange with a background color of orange in your account. You also may be emailed or otherwise notified by Craigslist. A lot of times they'll email you. For some reason, I don't get these emails. I don't know why, but my account is weird. Maybe they go to spam filters or something like that, but I just do not get the flagged emails from Craigslist, but I've heard other people do. So when you have an ad that's been flagged, go ahead and check it and see. And you can also write custom code to check it. When we were doing a lot of this stuff, I would actually check to see if ads were flagged, and I'd write custom programming code in order to do that. But that's kind of beyond the scope of this particular presentation. All right, so we just talked about flagging. Ghosting does not equal flagging. They're not the same thing. Ghosting is something completely different, which we're going to talk about here in a second, and that is not what we just talked about flagging. So before I go into and explain to you what ghosting is, I just want you to know that we're not talking about the same thing when we say something's been ghosted versus something being flagged. So what is ghosting? Ghosting is when you go and you put up an ad. Everything looks like it went through fine. It shows up in your account, it shows you up as active, it's green, then you get an email with a link to it. When you click on the link in your email, it takes you right to the ad. Everything looks like it's perfect, except one thing. The ad never shows up on the results page. So you wait 15 minutes, you go check the results page, nothing. You wait 30 minutes, you go check the results page, nothing. Never see proof that your ad went up. This is an anti-spam feature of Craigslist. It is not an error. It's not like you actually posted your ad and Craigslist had an error and didn't post it on there. It is intentional by Craigslist to prevent you from spamming. Okay. Now, what determines whether something is ghosted? Who knows? I mean, I have a couple different ideas and theories, but no one has ever said from Craigslist, these are the reasons why we ghost ads. They don't give you a specific criteria. They kind of keep it secret so that they can police and kind of improve the quality of their site the best they can. So it is not an error. Everything looks like went through fine, shows up green, shows up as active. You click on the link in your email, you can go right to it. The only difference is it'll never ever appear in the results page if it's been ghosted. Okay, so you wait 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, just never shows up. So ghosting. What we do is every time we post an ad, we check to see if it was ghosted. So you post the ad, usually get an email confirming that your ad's been posted. I usually use the timer on my email, so if I post it at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, sometime after 1:15, I'll go back to my email and say, okay, now it's been 15 minutes. Let me go right through, click through the ad, click through to the category from the ad itself, and then look for that particular ad, make sure that my ad got up. So you check the search results or the category stream after 15 minutes. Now remember, it's normal for everything not to show up right away. But if it's been more than like 15 minutes, maybe even 20 minutes or 30 minutes, and you still don't see your ad, it's very high probability it's been ghosted and it's never going to show up. Okay, so if it's after 15 minutes, if it's showing up in the results, it was not ghosted, everything went through fine. If it's not showing up in the results, it is ghosted. So that's what ghosting is. It's an anti-spam feature by Craigslist, and you have to check to see if your ad actually made it up after 15 minutes. I will repeat, it is not enough for you to get the email from Craigslist, to click through from the email and see that your ad is live, because that is always going to come up, whether you're ghosted or not. The definition of ghosting is that if you go to the category itself and the ad appears there, it was not ghosted. If the ad does not appear there after 15 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever it actually is, then it actually was ghosted. Okay, so be really careful. And to be clear, I'm not saying if after 15 or 20 minutes you click through from the email directly to your ad and it appears there that you weren't ghosted. You have to check the results page. I know I'm making a big deal of this, but a lot of people get this confused. They'll say, I think my ads are ghosted. Okay, did you go to the category page 15 or 20 minutes after you posted it, and was it there or not? And that's like the criteria. If you go to the results page and you see the title or the headline of your ad there, then it was not ghosted. If you don't see it and you know that other ads were posted after the time yours was posted, then it probably was ghosted. Okay, ghosting. Checking your account page gives you absolutely no information about whether it's ghosted or not. So remember, if you go to your account page and you see it as green or normal in your account, that's fine. That does not mean that it's ghosted or not ghosted. It just means that Craigslist is telling you that everything looks good and it's active. You can even click on it and it will go to the ad itself, and that doesn't mean if it's ghosted or not. Okay. Now here's a kind of fun fact. It's kind of fun, but not really. But if your ad is flagged, so if somebody came and categorized your ad as spam or overpost or prohibited or whatever it was, well, that tells you something. It tells you that the ad was not ghosted, because in order for people to find your ad, it has to show up on the results page. In order for people to flag your ad, it needs to have been found. So if your ad is flagged, it tells you the ad was not ghosted, because ads must show up in the results so that people can see them to be able to flag them for removal. So if you got your ad, if your ad was actually flagged, guess what? It wasn't ghosted, at least. And so now you know that your ad got up on time. All right, so I walked you through this earlier, but I made a separate slide, how I check for ghosting. For my own account, and I have just one account, by the way, I leave the email from Craigslist in my inbox, the one that you get when you post a new ad, until at least 15 minutes old. Then I check to make sure the post is visible in the results section. It must be visible on the results page, otherwise it's not there. If you click directly on the post itself from the email or your account, it will appear normal. Once I check it, then I archive the email. So I use Gmail and I archive emails as I process through them. So once I've checked it and I made sure that it's actually live, I'll go ahead and archive it. If I check it and it is ghosted, well, then I got to deal with it. I got to go, rewrite the ad and try to repost it, or I got to do a variation or something like that. So that's how I check for it. You can, if you wanted to, write some custom programming in order to kind of check things are ghosted. Yeah, I used to have stuff that did that, but you don't need it. It's overkill for what you're going to be doing with this system. Okay, so my posts are very rarely ghosted. The overwhelming majority of my posts get live. It's because I post legitimate stuff up on the site, very low flagging, very high probability that they're legitimate ads. I have my telephone number in there. I mean, there's lots of theories as to what helps something be ghosted. So that's this slide. What causes ghosting? Craigslist does not reveal their secret algorithm for ghosting postings. Ghosting posting, that rhymes. Speculative factors that increase the odds of your post being ghosted. So posts in cities that do not match the geographical location of your computer's IP address, In other words, if you hire someone in India to post ads for you, it's very likely that those ads will be ghosted. So it makes it really hard for you to hire an international virtual assistant or personal assistant to post for you here in the United States. Okay. Also, things that increase ghosting is posts that have known characteristics of spam. For example, certain domain names, certain phrases. I could imagine some for Viagra or related topics and phrases will be increase the chance of ghosting. Some other things that people suspect contributes against ghosting: the age of your account on Craigslist. People with brand new accounts that post questionable stuff are more likely to be ghosted. People that have really old accounts that have a long history of posting really good content and not having things flagged or ghosted are likely to have things not ghosted. So your reputation on posting stuff that can get you flagged. And then an unreasonable quantity of ads posted from an account and IP address. So if you go on there and you post 20 ads in one day, chances are good that some of those are going to be ghosted. Okay? So I would be moderate. 1, maybe 2, maybe 3 at the most ads per day, unless you've got a lot of different properties you're selling or renting. I would not be posting lots of duplicate and lots of variations. I would spread it out over a period of time. All right, so reposting. Don't blast them out rapid fire. If you post 1 a day for 5 days, and all of a sudden you don't do anything for a couple days, you come back to your account and you're like, oh, I've got 5 ads that I can all renew. I would not go ahead and click repost on all 5 of them immediately. Okay, I would actually start to spread those out over time too. It's much better, in my opinion, to go out there and spend 2 or 3 minutes, 5 minutes a day, posting whatever ad you need, whatever ad or 2 you need to on Craigslist, and then only do 1 or 2 a day, rather than trying to do 10 a day and then not show up for a week. Much better to be disciplined. Okay, so follow Craigslist guidelines. Usually the guidelines as of right now are 3 days between reposting the same post, and take down the old posts. It will help reduce flagging. So if you actually have an ad up and you didn't take down your old ones, and someone does a search and you have a kind of a unique keyword that you're coming up for, and all of a sudden someone sees 3 or 4 of your ads, even though 3 or 4 of them, even though a good portion of them are old, but you just never took them down, they're more likely to go ahead and flag the new one. Say, well, this guy's already got an ad up. Why does he need 3 up? And so don't leave your old ads up. Take them down. Either delete them and then repost a new one, or use the repost feature on Craigslist, which is what I recommend in order to get your ads posted up again. So the question is to include a phone number or not to include a phone number. If you prefer to take phone calls, and by the way, if you're in the real estate business, taking phone calls is really important. Okay, you're gonna find that, well, certain sellers don't want to get on the phone, but the ones that do, you're going to want to talk to them. So if you're not taking phone calls, if you don't have a telephone number on there, and ideally if you're not taking them live, or at least sending them to a 24-hour recorded message line where they can get information about your process and how you buy houses, I think you're making a mistake and you're losing some business. And these are really big transaction sizes, so missing one client could mean $30,000 payday on a buy, fix, up, and resell. Or a wholesale deal, I mean, easily couple grand, $5,000. Just by not putting your phone number on there. So having a phone can also slightly reduce flagging, but inappropriate posts will still be flagged. So if someone has a question, they've got a question about whether or not you're legitimate, and you've got a telephone number on there, and maybe a mailing address, and maybe your website address, and maybe your email, or I don't recommend email, but different ways to contact you, and you seem more legitimate, that's going to cut down on people trying to flag you. If you kind of have something that sounds a little bit spammy, but you don't have your contact information on there at all, they're more likely to go ahead and say, yeah, this kind of looks like spam. They didn't even put their telephone number or anything on here. They're not really serious about being in business. And so having your phone number up there will reduce people flagging. Okay, but if you put the blatantly inappropriately miscategorized post up, you're still going to get flagged. So even if you have a phone number up and you're posting that you'll buy houses in the real estate for sale section, I don't care if you got a phone number up or not, there are definitely people who are going to be flagging that and saying, wait a minute, this is houses for sale, not services for real estate that you're going to buy houses. Okay, so I don't recommend you do that. And by the way, I have no data to suggest whether it affects ghosting either way, except indirectly through reducing flagging. So putting a phone number, don't know if having a phone number specifically will reduce ghosting. I usually put phone numbers in a lot of my ads, but it's up to you. Should you include your website address? It's especially helpful if you're going to hire someone else to do your posting so that the replies are not going to the email address of the person posting. So if somebody posts and they post it from their account and they use their email address, they post for you and they use their email address, so guess where the replies are coming from Craigslist? They're pretty much coming to that email address. So if you are going to have someone else helping you out by posting for you, your daughter, your son, your partner, whoever it is that they're doing it for you, and you want to be taking the calls, maybe you want to have your direct website in there where people can contact you. You can put your telephone number in there, but I would hide the email in that case. On the downside, though, certain website addresses are believed to contribute to increased ghosting. For example, they don't even allow eBay.com anymore on Craigslist. It's been a while since I tried it, but they do not allow you to link your eBay auctions to your Craigslist site. So that is definitely an example of a banned email address, banned website address rather. So let's keep your website address clean by doing all the right things and having a good reputation with it, and then having it on there so that your website doesn't get listed in that kind of blacklist of we don't like this website address to appear on Craigslist. So kind of be careful with it. But overall, you should have no problem getting your website address up there, unless you're using like a shared website address, like you're on a generic blogging website or something like that. You may have some problems getting that up. You should spend the $10 and get your own custom domain if you're going to do that, if you're going to have a website as a real estate investor. All right, posting your email address. Personally, I think you should use the anonymous version from Craigslist in order to post your email address up on there. This is what I do in my posts, and it's what I prefer. I do not recommend using your normal email address and showing it. So always click on the Make Anonymous version from Craigslist. And I do not use an email when I hire others. So if I have someone else post an ad for me, like I did when we were running the national wholesaling network, I would tell them, do not use your email address. Don't use any email address at all. Okay, occasionally they would still accidentally do it. It does affect my response because some people would email instead of going to the website, which is really where I wanted them to go and how I could actually deal with them directly. They'd email my assistant, and my assistant would get the response, and there was really nothing I could do about it because most of the time they were not forwarding those responses onto me. So you do want to, if you're going to hire somebody, have them not put their email address on there at all. Let's see. What else is right here? Using your email without the anonymous feature will increase spam to your email account, so I don't recommend you do it that way. All right, let's talk about how to increase response. There are a few things you can do in order to increase the response people are going to have when you post an ad in order to find motivated sellers on Craigslist. Number one is increase the number of ways someone can reply. So if you just have the anonymous email on there, which is kind of like the default in many ways of a Craigslist ad, is you write your ad and then you have reply to this email, and they've got an anonymized email address at Craigslist which forwards on to you at the top of the thing. Having that just one type of response, that's okay. I mean, that's kind of default. But if you added your telephone number in addition to that, that actually will boost response. Here's why. There are certain people that don't email. They don't like to email. They're not good at emailing. They don't type well. So for them to go ahead and try to get information from you, and you telling them you have to email me in order to get that information, you're eliminating a percentage, and who knows what that percentage is. It could be 10%, it could be 50%. No one knows. But you're kind of ignoring a certain percentage of the people that might otherwise respond. If you just have a telephone number and no email address, there are certain people that hate the telephone. They're afraid to call people. They don't want to be confrontational. They don't want to talk to a salesperson. But they're interested enough to say, send me more information if you had an email on there where they could just say, kind of in a non-threatening sort of way, yeah, I'm interested. Can you tell me a little bit more about how it works? Okay. And if you just had your telephone number but not the email, you'd lose out on those guys. Okay, so the more different ways you can get for someone to respond, and I would include email, a website, mailing address. There's some people still like to mail. I've actually got mail on my desk here. Somebody would rather mail me than actually talk to me on the phone. Telephone number. So all the different ways you could think of in order to increase response, ways that people might otherwise respond to you. Go ahead and use that. So that's one way to increase response. Increase the number of ways someone can reply. Another way to increase response is make a specific offer that requires immediate action and ask for the order. This is like basic sales principles. go ahead and putting up an ad. We buy houses. We've been in business 14 years. We love to buy houses. We love Northern Colorado. We like getting outside and hiking. Stuff like that. Touchy-feely. You're never asking for the specific order or making a specific offer to somebody. You're going to suppress response. You're not going to get the same response as if someone who says, we buy houses, we've been buying houses for 14 years, call us for more information, click on our website for a free special report. Whatever it is that you want them to do, ask them to do it. Make an offer that requires immediate action. This is like a really critical point that I see a lot of people make a mistake with. They'll write this generic ad and they're not clear on what they want the person to do. Tell them to visit the website for more information. Tell them to request information, fill out a web form, call you, email you, whatever it is that they, call or email or fax or request information. Let me know what you want to do, but make the offer and be specific and make it require immediate action on their part for them to do something. Tell them what you want them to do. So that's another way to increase response. Another way to increase response, include testimonials and other proof. If you bought 25 houses in the last year, and you've got lots of sellers that have said, I loved working with James, and I would recommend my friends work with James, and all that other stuff, include a testimonial or two. If you can, the more the better, to a point. On Craigslist, you don't want to have these really, really lengthy ads. You want to have reasonable sized ads. The more text you have, the more likely it is to be kind of considered spammy. So I would not put a 37-page special report on Craigslist directly. I put a little ad, kind of a classified ad, and then have them go to a website and they can read all that. But I would not necessarily write a 37-page sales report, special report for Craigslist directly. But if you include some testimonials or other proof, whatever you have that you can do. And if you don't have testimonials that you successfully bought and sold houses, do like character testimonials. Get one from your priest or your rabbi or your minister. Have them say, I've had an opportunity to work with James, and he's honest, and he definitely treats people right. Whatever you can use, the better. Okay, you want to have as much testimonial, as much proof about what you do as possible. And when I'm talking about increasing response, all the salesmanship stuff applies. This is sales. As a real estate investor, you are selling the seller on allowing you to buy their home, often for a discount. You're giving them something in value. You're solving some type of challenge. Maybe it's a quick sale. Maybe it's an easy sale. Maybe it's dealing with repairs. There's all different things that you're selling, but it's a sales job. Okay, so you need to be a salesperson, and I don't mean sleazy salesperson. I mean professional salesperson. Show benefits. Talk about what's in it for them and all that other stuff, and then ask for the order. Whatever it is you're trying to do here. Call me, email me, request a special report, whatever it is you want to do. But those are ways to increase response when you're running ads. All right, so people ask me all the time, should I use a photo and make it really pretty, or should I use text? You can look at what others are doing in your category. If it looks really different, or especially looks like spam, you're much more likely to be flagged and removed. I will tell you, the overwhelming majority of posts that I've personally done have been text only. No images at all. A small percentage of them have been primarily text with an additional photo or image. So for instance, I'll write a small ad and I'll show a couple pictures of a house, or I'll write an ad and I'll show a picture of analysis, or I'll run an ad and I'll show a picture of a special report or CDs or something like that. But most of them have been text only. And very, 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 very few of mine have been image only. It's been extremely rare where I've run an ad and it's only been an image. And those are mostly for testing purposes way early on. I haven't done it recently. Okay, so if you're looking for my advice, mostly text ads, not photos. All right, so I do have a checklist I use. The checklist is pretty simple, though, so I'm going to give you the summary of it. The checklist is available on the website, jamesorr.com. The checklist is called the CraigsList Buy Ad Checklist. It's under the Real Estate Investor Marketing to Buy Checklist, which is part of the daily checklist, if you really want to know kind of like the hierarchy. Start off with the Real Estate Investor Daily Checklist, and then one of the checklists that's kind of sub to that is the Marketing to Buy Checklist, and then you've got under the Marketing to Buy Checklist, which has a whole bunch of things for marketing to buy houses. One of them is the CraigsList Buy Ad Checklist. But basically, here's all it is. You don't even have to go look. Check to see if the ad is still up and in good position, and then go ahead and repost it if it's not. That's basically it. So you check this. You have one or two or three or four, couple different ads up that offer different widgets, and I'll talk to you about that here in a few minutes. But you're offering different things. You check to see if the ad is still up and if it's in good position. If it's not, you go ahead and repost it, making sure you follow the posting guidelines of Craigslist. So you never post something more than once every 3 days, and you make sure you have different ads catering to different groups up and running. That's it. All right, so the big question I always get is, can't you just give me the ads to run? Come on, James. I mean, you've done this for a while. Why don't you just give me the same ads you run on Craigslist? Well, first of all, my ads are kind of custom to me. So, my testimonials are not your testimonials, and you can't necessarily run those. But more importantly is if I gave everyone the same ad to run, and tomorrow everyone got up in the morning and said, okay, I'm going to go post these ads on Craigslist. Well, Craigslist does not like the same ad, duplicate ads running, even if they're from different people. And so it will not allow you to run what's called duplicate ads or largely duplicate content. And they have some threshold, 10%, 20%, whatever it is that they say. An ad cannot be the same 10 or 20% as another ad. Okay? So you should not run, and you actually cannot because of their system, run the same ads as everyone else. Okay? Not only do you have the duplicate post issue, but you're more likely to be flagged and ghosted by other people. Imagine you're the user on Craigslist site, and you go to the real estate services section, you pop it open that day, and you're like, oh, there's 4 ads with the same exact headline. And when you click on them, they're pretty much identical copy except for maybe the phone number and the website. Well, somebody who's on there is going to say, well, they're basically the same ad. I'm just going to go ahead and flag 2 of them as duplicate or overpost or spam. Can you see that? So you actually do want to write your own. And so it would have been a lot easier for me to just give you my ads, but I'm trying to help you be successful at posting ads on there. So I'm going to teach you a little bit about writing ads and getting things that work. So you can borrow from what has worked, but let's talk about writing headlines and let's talk about writing body copy. So headlines. I'm going to give you some proven headlines on the next slide, but I encourage you to customize them and create them for your own Craigslist ads. Or do a search, and I recommend you do this. Do a search for the words headline bank on Google or whatever your favorite search engine. You'll get some generic headline ideas. And I give you some ideas on some slides here. But basically, if you go do a search on Google, you'll be able to find your own. And everyone has their own little slightly different version. All it is intended to do is give you some ideas to start with for writing your own headlines. So then you modify them for your own business. All right, let's talk about some proven real estate investor headlines. I'm going to read through these just so you have them. If you have the slide, you can go look at them. I do have them on my website. I'm not sure exactly where. It may be password protected. I don't remember. But basically, these are the headlines. So I'm going to read through them pretty quickly. If you need to listen to this again, go ahead and just do it again. Or if you're watching the video, you can actually pause it and write them down. But here they are. We buy houses. We buy houses cash. We buy homes. We buy homes cash. And by the way, I prefer houses to homes. But some people actually think homes is better. Cash for your house, cash for houses, sell now for cash now for your house, sell your house in 9 days, how to sell your house as is for a fair price on the date of your choice, how to sell your house as is for a fair price in 9 days, or whatever number of days you can actually buy it in. And by the way, all the numbers like that are just placeholders. Use whatever number that you can use that works for you. Discover how to sell your house quickly, sold in 9 days, we buy houses, we take over payments, stop foreclosure, avoid foreclosure, facing foreclosure. I would also add in there stop short sale, avoid short sale, facing short sale, especially if you're doing more creative buying property subject to, or kind of doing wholesaling or wholetailing, lease option, lease purchase subject to properties, which is pretty popular right now. We buy houses any condition or situation. We buy houses at any price or location. So those are kind of the headlines that a lot of other real estate investors nationwide use. And as an aside, in all cases except for Craigslist, I recommend that you model other people that are working. So rather than reinvent the wheel and create your own postcard, use a postcard that you know works. The only issue with Craigslist is that they've got that duplicate content penalty and some issues with trying to do that, and so you're going to run into challenges there. But otherwise, I'm a big fan of why reinvent the wheel. Pay someone else to find something that already works, and you can save yourself a ton of time and a ton of money doing that. But in this case, you have to kind of build your own just by the nature of Craigslist. All right, if you're going to decide to create your own headlines, I've got 3 pages worth of kind of like brain kind of triggering phrases to kind of get you started. So for example, how to ... blank, the inside secrets of, or discover the, or do you blank, or 100% guaranteed, blank. And you can write your own variations of this. So you say, how to sell your house quickly and easily without a realtor. The inside secrets of selling your house in 14 days, without listing it on the market. So you kind of use these as brainstorming ideas in order to write your own version of headlines and then test the headlines. We're going to talk about split testing here in another slide, but basically you just need to write some of these and use them. And so this is page 1 of 3 of kind of these trigger words. If you want to look at them, the website where I got them from is located at the bottom. I didn't kind of create this list. I borrowed it from bodywsdom.wordpress.com/2009//awesome-headline-word-combos-and-action-phrases. All right, I know I said that really fast, but that's where I got these from, and I'm trying to give them credit for doing that. But go ahead and go to that website, and you can go ahead and use their particular keywords. There's other versions of this, but just use your own. That's like the headline bank stuff. All right, so this is page 1. This is going to be page 2. It's another 3-column list of all these different ones. A breakthrough system for selling your house quickly and easily. It's so easy. The only thing you need to know about selling your house for top dollar in this real estate market. Take a moment to learn how to avoid foreclosure. Time-tested principles for avoiding foreclosure and selling your property quickly. So you want to test these different headlines and kind of use variations in order to do it yourself. And so this is page number 2 from the same website. And finally, here's page number 3. 3 columns again of all these different ones to kind of start you off with finding some headlines. So model these, kind of create your own from these starting points, or feel free to vary them up and make sure that they're your own. And I think you'll find them to be very effective. All right, one other thing to be careful of is your market to message match. And what I mean by that is we buy cash does not equal we take over payments. Somebody who is interested in a ad that says we buy for cash or we buy your house for cash is not necessarily going to be the same person that says we take over payments. Who would be interested in we buy cash typically? Usually it's people that are in the lower price point of the marketplace. 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 120,000 or so, and below have that believability of, yeah, we could buy for cash. You start getting into $400,000, $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 properties, fewer people believe that you can actually buy for cash. You may be able to, but it's that credibility thing. And so that's not a really good match of that particular message if you're going after $300,000 or $400,000 properties, or even $250,000 properties, I would argue. However, if you are going in there and you are trying to buy a property, lease option, lease purchase, subject to 3 different creative ways to buy. I have another video on the creative ways to buy. I'm not going to go over that in this particular video. But if you're buying creatively, where you're buying on a lease option, or you're buying on a subject, you're buying subject to the existing financing, where you're taking over payments, well, then a message that says we take over payments to someone that is just looking for debt relief, they owe more than maybe the house is worth, and they're just looking to get out from under it. Well, we take over payments is a really appropriate message for them. They may really like that. So you need to be careful with matching the message to the types of deals you're trying to get. And this leads me in, I think I'm being a little premature because I think I have another slide on it, I think. But basically, you may want to run 2 ads. So you may want to run an ad that focuses on the we buy for cash, the lower end, or all cash purchases where you're going to go probably either get a hard money loan or you're going to have your own cash to do it. And then you may want to run a totally different ad that talks to a totally different clientele that says we take over payments, and then really focus on what they need and the benefits to them and your offer to them. Maybe it's a different special report. Your special report for we buy cash may be very different than a special report for we take over payments. Okay? So different messages attract different sellers. Run multiple ads that make a specific offer that matches your message for that ad and that target market for that ad. Okay, so be really careful when you're crafting these to make sure that you're offering the right thing to the right person. Otherwise, your response rate is going to drop significantly. All right, let's talk about writing body copy. And by body copy, I mean the actual post itself, not the headline. So this is sales. You need to be talking benefits. You need to be compelling. You need to make an offer. You need to get them to take action. Call you, email you, fax you, fill out a web form. Tell them what you want them to do. After you talk to them about some benefits for doing so, be compelling when you do it. Maybe give them some testimonials. Maybe make them, a no risk, a guaranteed offer. Make them some type of offer though, and then get them to take action. Call you, email you, fax you, whatever it is. There are lots of great books and websites and resources out there about writing sales copy. The more you read, the better off you're going to be. The more you actually look at other people's sales copy and you kind of analyze it from this perspective, the better off you're going to be. But you need to practice it. You need to do it. And the first one you write is going to be the worst one you write in most cases, and so you're going to want to practice a lot. Write new ads, vary it up, test things. And I think I have a slide coming up here about split testing. All right, so here's a little comment about posting agents. Posting agents is hiring someone to post the ads for you. I will tell you, Craigslist prohibits the use of posting agents. Okay, as an aside, I find this really odd since they have entire categories for posting agents. For example, real estate for sale by broker. Real estate for sale by broker. Well, didn't the seller hire the agent to post an ad for him? The seller hired the agent in order to do marketing for the property. Isn't that a posting agent? So I find it really odd that they prohibit that, but then they have entire categories. But that's just kind of my aside. So follow the rules of Craigslist. Do not hire people to post ads for you in order to go do this on Craigslist. You should really do it yourself. So structure your business to be in compliance. If you can't do it yourself, maybe you want to find a bird dog who is willing to post ads for their own business of bird dogging. And then when they find the deals, they turn the deals over to you. So you didn't hire the bird dog to post ads. The bird dog's in business themselves in order to find properties and do that. And you suggest to them, maybe you want to run an ad on Craigslist. Here's a video James did. Go listen to that. And then they run ads. They find the properties. They do their full, seller property information file, and they prepare that for you. Then they hand it off to you and say, "Here's the deal. Here's the research I've done on it. Go get them." And then whatever commission or fee structure, it's actually not a commission. Whatever fee structure you work out with the bird dogs, you work that out. Okay. Similar idea with wholesalers. So you can find wholesalers that are looking for deals where they're willing to post ads. They're not necessarily posting ads for you. They're posting ads in order to find deals, and they're going to wholesale them to you. Or you can hire team leaders to kind of run those teams. Or find team leaders that want to do it. Okay, so hiring posting agents, not allowed by Craigslist. Stay in compliance. Talk to your attorney. If you don't have prepaid legal, you can go get it. jamesorr.com/PPL. PPL stands for prepaid legal. That'll give you information about prepaid legal. But if you ever have any questions about law or attorneys or stuff like that, or law or what you can do, what you can't do, talk to your attorney. Make sure that you're in compliance. If you're a real estate investor and you don't have prepaid legal, you need to get it. So you need to be able to ask questions about things you're doing and contracts, and tenants can do this, and sellers and buyers and everything else. It's worth the $25 a month. You can have unlimited consultations on the telephone about any topic you want, including I'm thinking about hiring someone to post an ad on Craigslist. Am I allowed to do that? What's the law? What's the deal? And talk to them about it. All right, let's talk about split testing. In this particular case, I'm talking about running 2 ads to see which one you get a better response with. And you can run a few different major types of tests. I mean, there's lots of variations, but here are kind of like 3 big ones. Number 1, you could test which headline gets you a higher number of people clicking on the headline and viewing your ad. So how do you measure that? If you're running 2 different headlines on Craigslist, and ideally they're running at the same time, and they're ideally running on the same day, and you want to have it as close to identical, everything else except for the headline as possible, to find out which headline works better. But let's say you're trying to figure out which headline works better. How do you even measure which one's getting more views? Craigslist does not give you stats that says 18 people viewed your ad. So how do you actually measure it? What you do is you post a image in each one of the ads. They have to be 2 different images coming from your web server, so that you can measure how many times your web server was hit for that particular image to see which one of those had the most loads. Okay. Now they could be the same image itself. Both of them could be an identical picture of you, but one of them will be named James1.jpg and the other one will be named James2.jpg, and you know that James1 is your headline test number 1 and James2 is your headline test number 2. Then you go look at your server stats and you see which one of those images was loaded more while those ads were live. And you can see really clearly, how many people viewed the ad and which one was the obvious winner for the headline. Maybe it's close. Maybe it's within 1 or 2, or maybe it's a clear winner that a lot more people click on, headline A than headline B. Okay, so you can do that in order to split test headlines to find out which ones get the more views to the ad. The next thing you could test is which ads get the most clicks to your website. So once they click through to your ad, maybe you have 2 different body copies that you're testing. You run the same headline, but over a couple different days and different testing, you kind of measure which one of the body copies works better in order to get people to click through to your website. And so you're actually measuring on Google Analytics how many people came from certain ads you ran that are 2 different ads you're running as a side-by-side A/B test. Okay, so you want to measure the activity overall that's going to lead toward an overall better response. Okay, so in this case, you're testing 2 different ad bodies to see which one clicks more to your website. It's hard to do on telephone because you're probably not going to get many responses. You're not going to be getting like 30 phone calls a day from running an ad. So it's hard for you to measure those small of numbers in order to see which one's going to do better. But clicks to the website overall might be a good indicator. You might get 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 20 different people clicking through for running an ad. Probably not that many. Probably a little bit less than that. But you can kind of start to get a feel over time. And I personally look at it as different heats in a horse race. So every time I've got 2 horses going up against each other, I've got 2 ads I'm running, which one's going to outperform the other, then the winner goes on to the next round and they see if they compete against a new runner, the new ad that I'm running, to see which one does. Okay, so I'm constantly testing and seeing what's going on. So the third one thing you can test is test which ad gets the most responses. This is the ideal one to do, but in this particular case, when you're trying to market, in the real estate services section, which doesn't get a ton of traffic as it is, if you were doing head-to-head properties for sale, you'd be much better off with this data. But it's going to be small, erratic numbers. It's going to be really hard to track this, but it would be ideal if you could. So responses can be calls or emails or web form submissions or whatever it is that you're measuring. And trying to do that. So it's usually not practical with the relatively small responses you'll get from like We Buy Houses type ads. Okay, you're not going to get 100 responses from this stuff. You're lucky if you're going to get 1 response for every time you post the ad. Most of the time you're going to post the ad for a month and you're going to get a couple responses in most cases. But you're not trying to get volume. You're trying to get quality. And you want to make more compelling ads. You find some really compelling ads you might really bump response. But overall, you're not going to get a ton. This is not a very high volume lead source. It's a relatively low volume, completely inexpensive. It's free, and it takes very little time to run. Okay? Split testing warning. Be careful. More ad views might not be an overall better response. So as an example, an extreme example, your headline may get lots of looks, but the body and call to action may not match what your ad says. The example I use is if you ran a headline that says $10,000 free, you might get a lot of people to click through to your ad, but then very few people actually doing anything with it once you describe what you actually mean by $10,000 free. Maybe it's $10,000 free because you give them $10,000 more than what another person would offer. Who knows? But if you have that headline, you're not likely to get a perfect market to message match by doing that. Okay, so be careful to not decrease your overall response by being too aggressive with your headline to capture more people. You want to really get targeted people looking at your ads. All right, so here are some different types of ads to run. Number 1, free reports. I'll just kind of throw off the top of my head some examples of free reports to run. 6 things you can do to avoid foreclosure. So you run an ad that says, learn how to avoid foreclosure free report. And then in the ad you talk about the benefits of getting this report. And then you say, go to my website and request this free report by filling out this web form. And then you follow up with a phone call. You follow up with an email to somebody, after they get the report saying, do you have a house that you're looking to sell? So that could be one free report. Or the benefits of selling on a lease option over selling on a short sale. You talk to them about the benefits of that. That could be another free report. Or free report, how to determine the top price you can get for your property by selling it in 30 days or less. You can do a free report, 10 things to know about a real estate investor buying your property. And you can talk about the benefits of that. So that's one example. Free home valuation. If you're going to go ahead and determine the value of what the property is when you're going to go buy it, would you be willing to share that with somebody? So you could offer a free home valuation. You can go in there and say, well, here's what I pay for your home. And that's what I would value it at. Okay, so that's one thing you could offer. You can offer to buy for cash. We buy houses. We buy houses for cash. You can offer to take over payments. would consider buying on a lease option. You know, real estate investor looking for more properties to buy with lease option. You know, different things you can do in order to, say, take over payments. Use those headline banks for ideas. You can offer to avoid foreclosure, information about how to avoid foreclosure. You can offer information about how to avoid short sales. You can also offer short-term loans. So if you're in the business and you're willing to loan money for a short period of time, and you secure it by real estate, so you're making a short-term loan secured by the property itself, and you tell them, you know, I'd be happy to loan you $1,000, $2,000 if it'll help you get over the hump. And of course, here's the payment terms, and here's how you pay. And by the way, have an attorney do all this for you. Don't do it yourself. But basically, this is the idea. You can go offer short-term loans. People who are in financial kind of crunches would be interested in short-term loans. And then ultimately, after you sit down and talk to them about the loan, you could say, and if worst case, if you can't afford to pay back the loan, I'd be willing to buy the property for X amount of dollars. So if you don't pay me back by this time, I'm going to have to foreclose on the property, or you'll be willing to sell it to me for this price, and you could talk to them about kind of the options at that point. Make sure you get an attorney to look over this and kind of approve everything you do, but that's the basic idea. Okay, 1 second. All right, sorry about that. The phone's going to ring. So basically, those are different types of ads to run. I mentioned before how to earn 6 figures a year from CraigsList. It's a presentation I did to an internet marketing group about how to use CraigsList to earn 6 figures. It is available for free for Platinum members and above. I do have the presentation that explains all the basics of CraigsList that I've already covered, and then I talk specifically about the business model I use to earn 6 figures a year from CraigsList, in that it's available as an MP3 download with PDFs of the slides, and there's the link on the video. It's basically jamesorr.com/how-to-earn-6-figures-a-year-from-CraigsList. So jamesorr.com, how to earn 6 figures a year from CraigsList with dashes for spaces. And that's where you'd go to get it. It is for Platinum members only. So if you're a Platinum member or a VIP member, Platinum members and above. So if you're Platinum or VIP, then you actually get that for free. All right, so how do you track visitors from your website? I recommend you use Google Analytics. Google Analytics is free. Go to Google, just type search for Google Analytics. It's like google.com/analytics or analytics.google.com. I think both of them go there. But you use this on your website in order to see the traffic you have from your website. And the nice thing about it is you can actually see traffic specifically from CraigsList. If you go to traffic sources, it's one of the left-hand tabs, and you click on referrals, and then you do CraigsList, and then you can kind of see which ads in particular brought which traffic. And I show you a little image on my screen here of traffic from one of the ads I ran on CraigsList. But you can kind of get a feel for that. So if you're having people go to your website to respond, you want to use Google Analytics to track that. If you use the repost button on your CraigsList account when you're reposting it, it keeps the same CraigsList URL so that you can see that ad over a period of time. So if you're reposting it every 3 days, then it'll keep that same address, and you can just look at the traffic for that particular ad over a period of time. So it's really helpful for being able to see that, as long as you use Repost and you use Google Analytics in order to track traffic to your website. So I strongly recommend those two paired up in order to do your kind of analysis and make sure your ads are running well, and you can see which ones are performing. If you're running an ad and it's not getting very many people clicking through to your website, and you don't think it's actually giving you a response, because there's sometimes when you only get like 1 or 2 or 3 people a week coming to the website, but they're like really qualified clients, they must always call you, or they always fill out a form or something like that, well, then you need to evaluate it. But if you're getting very little traffic and very little response, then start playing around with it and measure which one's getting the best traffic to the website and the best response. All right, you have to save your ads that you run, and you have to save your analytics. Remember before I told you if your ad is flagged for some reason, then you're not going to be able to go and get the old copy and see what was working or what wasn't working. So you want to make sure you save a copy of your ads. I personally recommend you use Evernote. So I've got a picture of kind of like the Evernote account over here, and some kind of how I have it set up on mine for saving the ads. I also recommend you save the analytics page, that Google Analytics I just showed you. So you save the ad you ran, and then you go and you get the Google Analytics for that particular ad, and you kind of save them together so you can match up and say, okay, this is the ad that I ran. All right, looks good. And this was the analytics showing you the traffic I got from it, and you can kind of use it. So that's what I recommend. I recommend you create a little notebook in Evernote and save them on there. Evernote's free, by the way, and it's a really good way to save things from the web and kind of organize it. So you can then also, as an advanced feature, you could tag different ads into groups or different test types that you're running. So if you're running an ad that says, avoid foreclosure, you can tag all of your avoid foreclosure type ads. And then if you ever wanted to just look up the avoid foreclosure ones, you can look those up. All right, and that's it. So if you have any information, if you have any questions or something like that, definitely let me know tomorrow night at the meeting, or come to another Northern Colorado Real Estate Investor Group meeting. If you haven't taken advantage of the world's greatest free gift, you can do that at jamesorr.com/gift. That's a sample subscription to our newsletter and a bunch of other audio downloads on a bunch of different topics. You can go find out more about it there, jamesorr.com/gift. And finally, there's my contact information. If you have any questions or anything like that, feel free to contact me. James Orr, telephone number 970-225-6989. And there's my name and address. You can go to jamesorr.com in order to get all that contact information there as well. And that's it for tonight. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I sure did. And I went through it really quick, but I think you got a lot out of it. And hopefully we'll be ready for next 2 sessions when we talk about different ways of using CraigsList. That's it. Goodbye for now. Have a great night, everybody. I'll talk to you soon.